been riders thinking that they were getting free rides. Now, a few savvy folks even took advantage of this and rode around like it was a 2-year holiday special. But starting yesterday, NCB has begun deducting lump sums from riders' accounts to settle all of those, quote, free trips. Stand unquote. So as you can imagine, people are livid, and with many now left with little to no money, and the questions are flying. Who do they turn to? Who's to blame for this? Is it legal to even pull a stunt like this? So our question of the night is, how much did NCB take from your account after the Uber fiasco, right? And go ahead, may I tell you, it has been, I was up until about 2-3 o'clock this morning at Jerome, because I was just reading through the tweets. I was just trying to gather as much information as possible. And it's a lot. Yeah, now Uber is a fairly new transportation option in Jamaica, and it has caught the attention of many commuters in just its first 4 years or so since speeding off on Jamaica's road. The full name of the company that provides this service is Uber Technologies Inc., and it is an American multinational transportation company that provides ride-hailing services, courier services, food delivery, and freight transport. According to Wikipedia, the ride-sharing service is currently operating in approximately 70 countries and 10,500 cities worldwide. The rideshare app first appeared in Jamaica 2021, met with much anticipation. Now, after operating for a while with seemingly no real regulation from transportation authorities and the government, unfortunate circumstances signaled the alarm for all functioning rideshare providers to conform to terms from the Ministry of Transportation. Uber, though, was one of the first, if not the first, entity to begin the process for compliance to ensuring its services were suited for Jamaican roads. Now, the general opinion is that Uber in Jamaica is extremely convenient, especially for young professionals who value their time and convenience. But in this recent stint with Uber and its payment method for a particular financial institution, it makes one wonder if the convenience was worth it. Now we do have on the phone lines Audley Duncan, who is an attorney at law. Audley, good night. How are you doing, sir?
Good night. I'm doing good, man. Doing better than some people who are in a very difficult situation, unfortunately.
Listen, it's very, very unfortunate, yeah. But I just want to get your feedback on this just for a little bit, because I've seen a couple of your takes on social media, and I said to my producers, we definitely need to get Audley on the show. Do you think that banks have a responsibility to notify customers in advance about large and unexpected charges?
So I think from a marketing perspective or a goodwill or a branding perspective, I think it could be thought of to be a best practice for banks to say, hey, we're about to take a chunk of your account out and take it away forever. So I think it would be a good practice in terms of marketing and branding, but I can also see where if the bank is trying to protect their revenue, they may not think it's a very intelligent thing to go and alert a customer that, listen, we're going to take out a portion of money that we're saying that you owe us, because many persons would simply just take the money out and the bank would never get it. So it's a balancing act.
It is a balancing act, and I put some thought to it as well, and I was kind of thinking about it, and I said to myself, but even if it is that NCB had advised or released an advisory, yeah, even up to yesterday, everybody around got the ATM for draw out their money, yeah. So everybody would have. Yeah. So I do understand, that aspect of it. Now, in situations like these, where people are, charged for services, months or years after using them, do you think there should be a cap on how far back the companies can bill the customers?
I definitely think that one thing that this debacle, because it really is quite calamitous, I think one thing it can do is to really get a conversation, a very necessary conversation going on how consumers can be more protected in terms of the things that banks do. I know that there had been moves in Parliament when it came to the regulation of bank fees. Many persons are unhappy with pretty much every bank in Jamaica, some more than others. And I think that and the timing of this is not likely to be accidental. This happened around payday, when the banks would be expecting that other Jamaicans would have money in their account to take about, as much as possible. So I think that a necessary conversation should be had about ways consumers can be better protected. about whether, because I don't know that the bank is prevented from doing something like this. That depends on the individual contract the bank has with the individual customer. But certainly, from an operational perspective, from a cost of living perspective, from just a goodwill and humanity perspective, people owe rent, people have children, people are paying bills, you're expecting to use your money certain ways, and then, because 6 months ago you had these transactions, it comes out one time that you may have thought were already paid. Definitely, I think there can be conversations around how consumers can be protected from this, because as the release from NCB pointed out, not most of these were not fraudulent situations.
Right.
It's just that the good suffer for the bad, as they say.
Yeah, because now I'm and I've been thinking about, and after even hearing a lot of the experiences from, people in the Twitter spaces last night, and some are honestly, saying that they did not know, and I do believe some of them, right?
Most honestly would have, yeah.
And I do believe them, oddly, like, because there are so many different ways that this could have happened, even to me. Someone may just not have been checking their online banking details a lot. Like, someone might not have just been paying attention to these reversals. Like, people really do have a lot of transactions per week, and you're just not really paying attention that, oh, hey, this is really happening. So for those people, though, how do you think that the bank or these persons can rectify this issue? That, genuinely, I did not know. So should the bank somewhat do like a payment plan? What do you think?
So I was saying to somebody else earlier that there only two people can be involved in one contract. Something like a banking transaction may involve a lot of different entities, but each person involved in those respective transactions is only in a contract with one other entity. So, for example, the customer and the bank have a contract, the bank and Visa have a contract, the bank and Uber have a contract, Visa, Uber have a contract, the customer and Visa have a contract. So there's a lot of overlap and intersection, but everybody really has their own individual contract. And so if I am somebody who has my individual banking contract with NCB, and 100K just comes out of my account one time that I really cannot afford to lose right now, I don't know that the owner, it would be nice, but we can't expect the banks to be nice, because the banks are protecting their revenue that they earn from capitalism. So I think the owners might be on the customer to approach the bank to say, listen, obviously, this is the situation, this is untenable, what kind of arrangements can be made for my particular case? So the bank can do something like offering a short-term loan, and it's paid off in monthly installments, even if they want to put interest on it. They don't have to, probably do the same collateral route that other loans might have gone, or they give back some of the money, and there are ways to go up, or the opposite. There are ways to go about it, but I do think the owners might have to be on the customer to initiate that conversation.
Yes, I do think so as well. Now, finally from me now, I've been seeing a lot of takes on social media, Wally, yeah, and
Me too.
God, this question now of who's to be blamed, right? Is it the bank? Is it because
the bank? The bank. Well, the cases where people were moving fraudulent, it would be the people.
Yes.
To blame straight up.
Yes.
But to be fair, even if so, the bank should have caught it sooner. Right? The bank is supposed to have these mechanisms and systems in place. I'm seeing in the statement where one person had something like 700 transactions in a month.
Yes.
Certainly, the bank should have flagged that a lot sooner than now. So there really would appear to have been a failure on the bank's part. So in terms of blame and fault, I really don't think it's realistic for most people to minutely comb through all of their daily transactions line by line. Most people don't operate that way, especially if you get an alert saying Uber transaction, whatever. You're not really following up on it to say, oh, the process was reversed later on, right? So I think that the bank really, as the entity that people trust with their money, and when it comes to a bank, people just instinctively trust the bank will do what it's supposed to do.
Yes.
The bank has this software, all these employees, all these systems. People just instinctively trust the bank it will do what it's supposed to do. So when these things were not caught sooner, and the bank feels its only recourse is to take out a portion of people's money at one time and, put hundreds of thousands of dollars liens on people's accounts, I do think that the bank definitely could have done things a lot differently. And I definitely do think that the bank, as the entity rather, in the position of power with all these resources, they should have caught this sooner and moved different in terms of how they processed and dealt with it, in my opinion.
And I know I said that was my final question, but whilst you were just talking, I'm kind of thinking about it now. For the
real
persons,
final question,
right?
2 more times. It's all good, man.
So for the persons who are alleging that they realized that the reversals were being done and they've made contacts with the bank, and this issue wasn't rectified, and months after now they're in this peculiar situation, in this predicament. Do you think that these people have a case to say to them that, hey, but I called you and I said to you that, I called you 3 months ago and I said, this is happening to my account. Do you think that these people have a legal case on their hands?
So, legal case. So what I would say is we have consumer protection legislation, right? The Consumer Protection Act. We have the Consumer Affairs Commission. The Bank of Jamaica is responsible for regulation. There are different avenues to explore. So, for example, they can get perhaps the Consumer Affairs Commission involved. I don't know the Consumer Affairs Commission deals with financial entities specifically, but the Bank of Jamaica does. There might be different avenues. Now, in terms of legal recourse, I can't imagine what legal recourse somebody could have if it's a situation where the money was to be paid and simply was not paid, because if you're supposed to pay money, even if it's tomorrow or 10 years, the money don't pay. It has to come out sometime. So I think there might be kind of limited in terms of legal recourse where that is concerned, because again, the whole contract thing, goods and services, you use a product, you have to pay for it. Even if you genuinely think that you have paid for it, well, there's some asterisks. There's some asterisks here, because I'm speaking very broadly, and there are lots of qualifications to this that we may have to get into tonight or some other night. But generally speaking, if you are required to pay for something and the payment is not made, and the payment subsequently comes from your account to be paid to the person to whom it was originally supposed to be paid, then the options to recourse through a legal arena, I think, are quite limited. There are different ways it can be dealt with from a consumer protection perspective, but from, in terms of enforcement of legal rights, I'm not sure what legal rights a person has when money that was to have been paid was not paid. Now, I do think that we can talk about negligence. I do think that we can talk about creative ways to enforce rights. I don't think it would be entirely correct to say that somebody affected by this situation has no legal options, because the expectation is that if you do everything you're supposed to do, you're not supposed to suffer if somebody else somebody else messes up. You can't curse on the program, right?
No.
Right. Cool. So
Right.
you're not supposed to be affected if somebody else messes up. Right. So there are questions about, is there negligence, like tortious negligence? Is there a breach of contract? There are questions to be raised, but I really think that on a case-by-case basis, it will be very difficult to offer any general solution to anyone. But, there are options. I think the consumer protection option might be a better option. I do think approaching the bank might be a better option, because suing a bank, banks are heavily resourced. The best lawyers, the suits type corporate lawyers, they have all the time in the world. They have legal teams who work in the buildings. They can wait out people. They can throw money at problems. Most people don't have that kind of time. Most people don't have those kinds of resources. So even if you can enforce a right legally, is it practical to do so is a separate, different question. And most people might think, well, no. But approaching the bank, that's not a bad place to start.
Wow, Adley, trust and believe. I always appreciate, your wealth of knowledge and things like that. To big up yourself. Have yourself a great night, yeah?
Yeah, man, cool.
All right, well, that was Adley Duncan, attorney at law, and he spoke about a couple acts just now on the call, and I'm going to read some of these for you guys as well. Why may I tell you? So the Bank of Jamaica Act. Right, under the BOJ Act, the Bank of Jamaica oversees commercial banks and financial institutions, ensuring they maintain fair and transparent practices, including accurate and timely transaction processing. Now, here's what's relevant to this particular situation. Number one, responsibility of banks. The BOJ Act stipulates that banks must handle customer accounts with accurate and timely adjustments, reflecting up-to-date account balances. Now, if NCB delayed these deductions and misrepresented transaction statuses by not showing the correct balances, it could possibly breach this regulatory requirement. Number two, fair practice violation. If customers were misled by incorrect balances due to NCB's system reversing Uber charges, this could be considered unfair practice under the BOJ Act. Number two, Adley just spoke about the Consumer Protection Act. Now, this act in Jamaica protects customers from unfair treatment by businesses, including banks. Now, here's how this law may apply. May, the operative word, may. I never go to school. You understand? I never go to a man, so I don't know man if I'm a paint. Please. Number one, fair and scale service provision. Banks and service providers must provide their services with care and skill. Section 23 of the Act also emphasizes that businesses are responsible for ensuring consumers are not misled by system errors or any internal issues. Number two, unfair treatment claim. Given that NCB's error led to delayed charges, which are now being withdrawn all at once, this could be interpreted as unfair treatment. Now, if customers were unaware of the accumulating charges and left financially vulnerable due to these deductions, NCB's actions could potentially violate the Consumer Protection Act. And finally, number three, the Electronic Transactions Act, which covers the legality of digital transactions and may include rules on the transparency of electronic payments. Now, here's what might apply. Again, the operative word, might. Transparency and accuracy in digital transactions. This act could require that all digital transactions be processed accurately and visibly in real time. By failing to do so initially, NCB might not have complied with requirements for transparent electronic transactions. So those were the acts that Atley just made mention of, and I've kind of feel like just to kind of get you guys up to speed and things. But we do have an next caller on the line. I think this is Andre Milud. Yeah. Good afternoon, Andre.
Yes.
Yeah, dude.
Greetings, King.
Your tweets. Oh my brother. Firstly, how much monies were taken from your account?
Well, here's the interesting thing. I have not had money taken from my account, at least not yet.
Mm-hmm.
I would have been one of the bunch, apparently, that would have had their account frozen.
Oh.
And I assume I guess you can't put a lien on a frozen account. So
right.
I actually don't know what my figures come up to exactly as yet.
But then hold on, because you, based on the series of tweets that you've made, I've realized that you've been talking about this for a while, not just last night, about these overcharges. How long ago did you realize or notice that something was happening irregular with your account?
So, about 2 weeks ago, the Thursday,
yes,
before the holiday weekend, I would have tried taking Uber and tried paying with my NCB card. It declined. I paid cash. Never thought anything of it. These things happen all the time with different types of cards. It was when I awoke on Friday and I was trying to do some business, paying for some other stuff online. Nothing was going through. So I tried to call the customer service. Nobody could tell me what is happening. I called maybe twice before 12 o'clock. I kept being told that somebody was going to call me, whether it was somebody from the security team, whether it was somebody from one other team. No calls were made to me. By the time I called again, at about 3:30, that's when I was told that I would have needed to come in branch, which was ridiculous because, of course, you can't go in branch at that hour on that day.
Yes.
So when I went into branch, similar treatment, except no, that is when they would have told me that there is a freeze on the account because of the Uber transactions and reversals. No, this was news to me. I did not know this was happening in at all at that point in time.
Yes.
Anyway, I related to them that I've been being told over and over that I'm going to get a call and no call is coming through. The young lady had related I would assuredly be called. I left. I could have gone home or I could have gone back to the office. And I said, no, let me stay on premises and wait. And I waited about an hour. I didn't get any call. So I went back in the line again. And at about 3 p.m. in the afternoon, this was a Tuesday, sat back in front of the very same young lady and said, I have not got a call. She would have then called whosoever on them internal line. And then maybe about 10 minutes later, I would have gotten a call from a gentleman, I don't want to call his name on here,
yes,
from the fraud department. And this is when it got crazy for me because this man was targeting me as if it was an interrogation.
Oh, so then what was the amount of Uber transactions that they, expressed to you that this is now flagged?
Here's the thing. I use Uber as my primary means of transport for the better part of the year. And we're talking about, let's say, me going back and forth on the office, me going to the supermarket, whatever. When I guesstimated it yesterday, not yesterday, because it's where the thing dropped. I knew they already. When I was estimating how much trips I probably make a month, I was saying maybe between 70 to 80. And that would be at least 1 and 2 trips to the office back home, or if there's some other things, maybe some evening moves. That's it. I don't have anything near 700 or anything like that.
Right.
So for me, it's like, okay, why is it that I, out of the bunch, was chosen as, what's the word they used? Suspicious.
Yes.
Or anything. Since I had been tweeting, few persons reached out to me, trying to navigate, get information from me in terms of what my experience was. And I'm finding out that others have been frozen.
Yes.
And a lot of them would have related that their activity was even less than mine. So it's really weird. It's really weird.
Based on the statement, their press release, they did say that it was 300 accounts that were actually frozen. So do you have access to the account where you could even go back to see if it is that these charges were reversed?
Well, yes. So
Yes.
When I was on the call with the gentleman from the fraud department,
Yes.
that's when he would have outlined to me what it is that I should have, quote unquote, seen to know that the transactions were fully reversed. And if I may speak on that for a moment, because
Yes.
Uber's experience with NCB's debit card from a payment person perspective is really interesting. And it's when one of the persons within the group that they got frozen, she went forensic expert to try to understand what's happening. And anybody with Uber can identify with this. When you try to book a trip, you're given an estimate, right? A range.
Yes.
I believe that you would have gotten a transaction that has something to do with the range. I don't know if it's the minimum or the maximum, right?
Right.
And then when you would have reached the end of your trip, your final quote is processed, and then a reversal would have been done, and then you'd have been charged your final, whether it is higher or more, whether you either tip into the final bill or not.
So are you saying that this was a regular thing, basically, while using the Uber app? Essentially, yes?
Right.
Okay.
So it really wouldn't be unusual for somebody if they were even, honestly, I wasn't paying attention. I just book on the card.
Right.
Right?
Yes.
But persons who were paying attention, apparently this was a normal thing for them. So for them, they are amazed and astonished to then find out that at some point, when the reversals happen, the final transaction probably never happened.
Okay, just take up in right there, because I want for the persons who don't use the Uber app to kind of, understand what exactly you're saying. So you're saying, based on your experience with the app, when you try to book the Uber, it gives you a range from the lowest to the highest possibly rate, right? And then, so for argument's sake, if it's a $400 to $700 and you would select to get this ride, you're saying after, normally, what they would do is to charge you the minimal rate?
I really don't remember what it is, but let's assume that it's the minimum.
Right. So they charge you the $400, and then when the actual ride is completed, and because of, bear in mind people, Uber charges you by the duration of the trip, distance, all of that. So then after you come out of the car now, the Uber driver says, based on the calculation in the app, it's now $630. So what you're saying is they would then cancel the $400 and then charge you the $630.
Right, and if you added a tip, then that would also be added to the final transaction.
So you're saying just based on this interaction with the app, this is something that you would think is the norm?
Yeah.
Because they would reverse the 400 and then proceed with the 630 plus the tip. Yes?
Right.
So even with you seeing reversals, you're just thinking it's the regular thing that you would see on the app. Yes?
One would. I did not even notice that reversals were happening.
So I'm going to go on a quick break, and I just have one final question for you, Andre. But after the break, you can answer. I just want to know what was then said to you when they've combed through the account, and once again, you are part of the 300. Boy, I better know. A part of the small number of 300 out of 8,000 accounts that were about 2 weeks about this issue that he's been having with Uber and NCB. So it's not just last night, and he's just making up a story. The proof is in the pudding. Now, Dre, so did they oh God. Did you guys come to a solution at the end of that particular phone call with the person from the fraud department?
No. That call actually ended very unceremoniously because whilst I was trying to relate my perspective, he was trying to push the narrative of I must have known that this was happening such and such. Yeah. So at some point he relented because I was not backing down from defending my innocence and unawareness of this. He came off as what supervisor after I left with a bunch of papers where they told me to go figure out how much it is these transactions come to, which to this date I have not done because I'm not an accountant. It's crazy, right?
Yes.
But when I did all the tweets, you got a lot of attention. So I guess their online customer service and socials reached out. They called me the next day.
The number you have dialed is not in service. Please check the number and try your call again.
But
thank you.
1 second, Dre, please. Okay. Go ahead, please.
Yeah, man. So she called, and that was a pleasant conversation. So big up to her. I don't remember her name. I think it was like Tally or Tammy or something.
The number you have dialed is not in service. And please check the.
She said when she related to the other parties, it's just stuck in whatever protocol, 30-day minimum investigation before I can hear what's happening.
Yes.
Account is going to stay frozen. So essentially no solution in the immediate.
So at this point, you're without access to your account, and they're saying that to give them at least 30 days before this could be rectified. Yeah. Wow. Firstly, I'm gonna know how I can manage, but this is such a tough situation to be in. And hopefully when I do speak with Belinda right after you, she can somewhat give me some insights or what's next for you and for the others in this precarious situation that you're in. But thank you so much for sharing though, and just keep us updated on the socials, please, and thank you. Yeah, man. All right, Dre. All right, yeah, man. Have yourself a good night. What I'm going to be doing for you at this time is just read the press release that NCB issued about, again, this is about 3 hours ago. Let me just turn up my light right so I'm kind of blind. And it says for immediate release. 1 second, someone missed nothing. On October 30th, 2024, it says resolution underway for Uber Visa debit card transaction discrepancy. National Commercial Bank Jamaica Limited, NCB, has identified that and is actively addressing a technical issue affecting Uber transactions made by some customers using their Visa debit cards. This issue resulted in certain transactions not being charged to customers' account, leading to unpaid balances and in some cases potential fraudulent activity and scams. During our review, we detected unusual activity patterns, including instances where some customers completed an exceptionally high number of Uber transactions, some exceeding 700 rides within a single month, indicating possibly misuse or exploitation of the issue. Now, as our investigation continues, we have communicated with Visa debit customers regarding the funds owed and which will be processed for Uber transactions made. The bank has processed the owed balances where there are funds in the accounts or temporarily placed liens on accounts with insufficient funds until the outstanding amounts are recovered. Accounts flagged for suspicious activities will be blocked pending further review. We're working closely with Visa to identify and resolve the underlying cause of this issue. Approximately 1% of our Visa debit card holders, over 8,000 customers, have been impacted with investigated transactions dating back to the period of May 2024. We understand the importance of maintaining transparency and are committed to updating our customers as new information becomes available. In the meantime, we have temporarily frozen about 300 accounts for further investigation due to unusually high volumes and types of Uber transactions. Our immediate priority is to ensure that all impacted accounts are accurately reconciled and customers may contact our customer care center at cem@jncb.com or 888-622-3477 for assistance or inquiries. I'm not telling a lie, this is scary to think about. What also drew my attention, and I must say that some persons are very dishonest, because I don't know if you've seen some of the tweets where people are literally confessing that they've realized that this glitch was happening. They realized that their monies were being reversed. And them just take a bag of Uber trip and them just run up and down and do a bag of things.
Yeah.
A lot of people have shown screenshots also, incriminating themselves to a crime, by the way, of them friend them didn't know say the thing them did the suspicions were happening and the people them did know say the reversals were happening, but them still proceed to take a bag of rides.
Yeah.
So the people them also who are saying, but the 700 rides are kind of crazy. No, it's not, because we've seen tweets alleging that persons were selling Uber rides. For argument's sake, allegedly, I know, right? So people have spoken about this last night. I realize I have an NCB customer and I know that they're reversing the Uber charges, right? What I'm doing now, all I got St. Elizabeth full for your family. Uber to St. Elizabeth now got cheap, all about 15 grand, crazy. 20 grand.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you now, say, is alright then, Jerome, here we go on. Instead of paying 15 grand, 20 grand, I'm going to charge the 20 grand off of my card because they might reverse my money. And then here we go on. You just give me 10 grand. So you are saved $5,000 to $10,000 on this trip, and I am gaining $10,000. So people have been confessing to these things on social media, left, right, and center. So 700 rides isn't far-fetched because they're selling rides allegedly. So this is some trying times. Anyways.
Yeah, it's crazy.
So to the persons who are asking, is it legal? Now, based on the acts mentioned before, when I was reading to you guys, the Bank of Jamaica Act with responsibility of banks and the Consumer Protection Act and the Electronic Transactions Act. Let me just get this. So based on the acts mentioned, NCB's actions may raise several legal questions. Now, under the BOJ Act, NCB could be seen as failing to maintain accurate and timely account balances, potentially breaching fair practice requirements. Number 2, under the Consumer Protection Act, the mass deduction of charges due to a system error could be considered unfair treatment of consumers as it exposes them to financial strain without their knowledge or consent. Number 3, under the Electronic Transactions Act, if there is a requirement for real-time transaction accuracy, NCB's delayed charge adjustments could fall short of compliance. Given the nature of these laws, affected consumers might have grounds to challenge NCB's actions on several fronts. Number 1, violation of fair banking practices, the BOJ Act. NCB may be held accountable for failing to provide accurate account balances and delaying adjustments, which could be considered a regulatory violation under the BOJ Act. Number 2, unfair treatment of consumers, Consumer Protection Act. Consumers might argue that the sudden deductions constitute unfair treatment, especially since NCB's error left many in financial distress. Now, if proven, affected consumers could potentially claim compensation or relief. Number 3, failure to ensure transaction transparency, Electronic Transactions Act that I read earlier, NCB's reversal and delayed Reapplication of charges without notifying customers may breach digital transparency requirements, which emphasize clear real-time transaction records. Man, I say everybody, Jerome, but some people, they were really abusing the system.
Abusing it, yes. And you knew.
And they've said this. The proof is in the pudding. The proof is all over social media. It's in videos. It's in conversations. The proof is in the pudding.
Digital footprint.
This is what we spoke about last week. We spoke about digital footprints last week and how imperative it is that you guys are very careful what you're saying. Tweets can be deleted, yes, but people screenshot them long time. When I sit down in one space last night and I discussed this for hours upon hours at end, and I confessed to a crime. You don't know if people were in this space recording you. And I'm trying to understand, like, is it for clout? Is it for attention? You're going to say, yes, I knew, but I never have taken all my money one time. Are you dumb?
You know, my grandmother was saying, when people see freeness, they know to take it.
Listen, once again, it's just, but we do have an NCB representative, Miss Belinda Williams, who has an extensive work experience in the field of corporate affairs, marketing, and communications. Belinda started her career in 2003 at National Commercial Bank Jamaica Limited as a public relations communications manager. Now, over the years, she's held various roles at NCB, including Manager Group Corporate Communications, Manager Group Corporate Communications and Philanthropy Manager, Corporate Brand Communications and Social Responsibility. And in 2017, she actually joined Proven as the Head of Marketing and Communications and later became the AVP Group Chief Marketing Officer. Now, in 2024, she returned to NCB as the Head of Corporate Affairs. Belinda, welcome to the show. Good night to you. How are you doing?
Hi, Kareem. I'm good. Thanks. And good night to your listeners as well. Just a little bit of a correction.
Yes,
I actually joined NCB in 1989, not 2003.
Yeah, man. Long time that, man, Belinda. Way before me even born.
That's correct. You need to call me Miss Belinda.
Miss Belinda, right? I wished that your first time on my show would be under different circumstances.
I hope so too. But
there's
no time like the present.
Mighty
not
God.
a problem.
All right, let's just jump into it. So I just read the press release issued by NCB. I'm sure that you would have heard the caller before, and particularly you perhaps would have seen some of the tweets and the outrage, and I know that you've been a very busy woman today. So I'll just jump right into it. How long has NCBJ been aware of this Visa debit card issue relating to the Uber transactions?
Okay, so the actual alert came to us a couple of weeks ago. One customer would have brought it to our attention in a very vociferous way, where he said he would have seen and he brought evidence to the fact of a couple of transactions that he has made and the reversals that had occurred, and the fact that it was amassing, to his estimation, 50,000. I recall that Andre who was on did make mention of the fact that he did bring an alert to it. But one of the things I'd like to make mention as a preface to this conversation, Kareem and listeners, is the fact that, and it's not to say that we're not taking responsibility. There are three partners and parties at play, and there are three different platforms that are speaking. Even if you were to use a very simple analogy like a telephone call, and you're making a call and the call drops, you can't say that it is on the basis of your telecoms user or provider, or if it's on the one that is coming from overseas or the one that is being connected. You follow what I'm saying?
Yes.
Right now we are still investigating. So when you make mention that it is it's associated with NCB systems errors and all of that, and the accuracy and timeliness, it's something that concerns us as well. And all parties right now are working assiduously through our technical teams to try to do a root cause analysis and to determine what the issue is, so that we not only attend to it and remedy it, but that we can get to address it now. Just be reminded also that no system is infallible.
Yes.
And at times, in operation, there are challenges. And just today, as a matter of fact, if I was to draw a reference from this, a major overseas bank is actually suing customers for money that were drawn from an ATM via a glitch. So it's just to make an awareness to persons and transactors. We're living in a technological age that things do happen, but there are mutuality and culpability and responsibility on every part. And we are mindful of it at NCB, and we're very, very conscious of our roles and responsibilities. And where there are challenges, one of the first things we seek to do is to address them. Now, when it came to our attention a couple of weeks ago, we would have thought to have done our investigations. Once the investigation would have started, we started our investigation based on, we started looking at trends, because we have to use that. And the trends that we saw would have seen a rise in the period May to October. Now, that's where we would have had the red flag. And once we would have seen the red flags, we can do some deep diving. And once we did the deep diving, we could have determined the extent or the gravity to which the situation would have actually been exacerbated. We would have also determined a couple of its issues as it relates to transactions that would have been made by virtue of a contract in terms of taking a ride and trying to make a payment. The payment would have been done, and the way the Uber platform works is once you go in and you make the selection and you do your destination, you're literally saying that you're going to X, and then by the time you reach there, sometimes you extend the ride, sometimes you also do additional payments. So you would say you're going to pay $800 for a ride from Barbican to go to Halfway Tree. And I'm just using that hypothetically. So once you would have said that, that is what is entered in the system, and that is what's supposed to be deducted from your card. And by the time you get there, you either extend the ride to go back, or you're offering the driver a tip. That transaction will have to be voided or reversed in order for you to make the right transaction. Now, there are still some things that are not yet determined in terms of the source of the errors, but what I can staunchly say is that once it is that we would have identified that a lot of transactions, and the number of it is approximately 8,000 customers, which is just 1% of our Visa card holders, and it doesn't happen with all the cards. So let me just make that correction and classification, because you did say that, NCB systems and NCB cards. It's not NCB cards. It's just the Visa debit card. So what we had said to customers is that even though it happened with a Visa debit card on the Uber platform system, you can literally use your Visa debit card to do all other transactions, and it would go through correct, and you would have been properly charged and processed. But it is just something that is just not working out on the system in terms of the readings and the connections with those two platforms, which is what we're still investigating to date. So that's what that challenge is. Another thing is, so we would have used the period that it would have been reported to us to do the deep dive and to look at what was happening, determine the extent and the gravity and the impact. We realized it's 8,000 customers. And let me tell you, the first thing that we do before we take any action is that we think of our customers, because we are National Commercial Bank. We consider ourselves the nation's bank and the people's bank. And we wouldn't have been around this long hadn't it been for a case that we take our roles and responsibility and the service that we give to the nation seriously. We have over 2,800 and odd staff members that are employed to National Commercial Bank. So we have a vested interest in terms of ensuring the viability of this organization and how we serve this nation. All right. Having said that, though, one of the things that we would have done is we would have looked at the issue, we would have looked at the different impacts that would have arisen, and then we would have sought to address it. We have to remedy the situation and correct it and we have to restore order because persons would need to do their reconciliation. The lawyer who was on spoke earlier about, responsibility and contractual agreements and contract of goods and services, and the fact that even if you purchase something and you have walked away with the goods or you received the goods or service, the fact is that you are responsible for paying for what you would have received. The first thing we sought to do was to advise our customers and to seek action. We did not deliberately set out to do that for the end of the month. It just so happens that it coincides with that. Now, I must tell you that there are actions and systems in place because we have advised our customers that should in the event you have any challenge, you can reach out to our customer experience management and customer care center, and we can work out a payment plan. Our customers, we know you, you know us. And this payment plan will be done on an individual basis based on what it is that you want to achieve and what we can accommodate. And so we'll be having those conversations. They have already started with some customers. And even last night on the live, yes, I was on the live, and it really was a little bit painful to hear some of my Jamaican young people speak of who were the ones that were maliciously using the system to their satisfaction, or just to their whim, and to come on and they have their face and they're talking about but that's another issue. But as a Jamaican, it pains me to see that kind of action, because as far as I'm concerned, is the fact that it is, and this is just me, this is not NCB, this is Belinda Williams speaking to Kareem, and I'm sure you would think the same way too. As I said, and I started, no system is without its frailty.
Yes.
And even if I was to do something wrong and I realized which is what the customer did, and he said, no, I can't continue like this. You need to take your $50,000, and you need to understand that something is wrong and address it. And once we would have, and so when you get one complaint, you literally can start looking at it or make a note of it, because Andre did say he made a call, and you had a couple of persons who said they made a call. And so when one complaint comes in for hundreds of thousands of transactions that go through on a daily basis, it could be a one-off situation. But when you have 2-3 complaints coming, and when you have evidence to the fact that this is what has happened to me time and time again, so Andre would have said he had like 2 occasions or instances that he saw reversals. He's not sure. This gentleman literally had multiple instances that he could have literally demonstrated to us, and we would have said, okay, we need to take a break. Now, in doing our assessment and evaluations, we looked at it. We determined that there were over 8,000 accounts that were affected, which is only 1% of our Visa debit card holders. And when we looked at it further, we realized that there were some charges that individual customers would have completed, and it would have demonstrated an unusually high number of Uber transactions. Now, these are not Uber transactions that happen in excess of 2 or 3 months. This was like 700 rides within a single month.
And that's a very high number. So those persons then would have the frozen account.
A flare, another red flag.
Yes.
And so it's indicating to us a possible misuse or exploitation of the issue. And then, so when we looked, we tried to separate those instances, even while we tried to look at how quickly can we identify and remedy and restore the payments. And, what we did then is that we went on, we advised the customers what was happening and what it is that we have seen, and in that email that we would have sent out, some persons are contending that they did not get it, and it's unfortunate, and I have to apologize, because we did a poll using the active email addresses of
that is
all
on the profile.
All of them. So even it was outside of the 8,000. Every single Visa debit card holder got
an email. My question, though, is that Is this the final number? The 8,000 persons who've been impacted.
Well,
Is
at
this
this
a final
point,
number?
and at this point, I can tell you that that number that will be used it's for the period, as I said to you, May to October, and that's the extent to which I can actually share at this point, because we're still our first intent right now is to remedy this period that we would have found, and in remedying this period, we really want to restore the order for all customers who have been affected, because you have two customer types. You have those who would have been able to, the funds would have been able to have come off their account, and then you have those who we had to place a lien on the account, meaning that the minute some funds go to the account, it will be withdrawn by virtue of the contractual arrangement that you have with us. And it's not unique to just NCB, it's just the banking practice and arrangement. All right?
Yes. I have a question.
And then you also have...
Yes.
Go ahead.
What about those persons who, because I've seen a lot of comments on social media. A matter of fact, I have a lot of these persons in my DMs currently, stating that they've never used the Uber app before, and they do have a lien on their account. Have you heard about these situations, and what do they do?
So I can't speak to why it is that they've never used the Uber account and they have a lien on their account. Maybe it's a case that they need to call or send an email to cem@jncb.com. Listen, we're actually beefing up the staff to be able to handle that as quickly as possible and to be responding to all of the queries that come into that email box. Because there are several reasons why a lien can be placed on an account, which I wouldn't be able to go through right now.
Right.
But the fact of the matter is that for this particular issue, the lien that is placed, you will see the narrative being stated as to what it actually accounts to or accretes to. And in this instance, it would be the Uber Visa debit card transaction. All right, and even with persons who are actually whose account we actually set off the payments on, these payments are done on an individual basis, not a bulk payment. So the reason it was done like that is that you can literally see all of the Uber transactions that you would have made, and these would actually suggest that these are rights that would have been taken.
I have a question, Belinda. So for the persons now who would like to do this payment plan situation and get it going, how soon after they've made contact with the bank can this actually be in effect?
All right, so it's something that we discussed this morning. It's actually in train right now, and we have some security and loans officer on call for tomorrow morning, and it's almost like getting a same day loan. And because you're banking with us, it's easy for us to make those arrangements once it is that we go in and we have the conversation with you and the relevant documentations and details are taken. I can't speak to the specificity of what that transaction would look like, but the fact is that we're trying to make sure that it is as seamless as possible for our customers, and that way, the minute that we have entered into the agreement, and for many instances, these things are like and I can say this, we have actually had payments, same day loan or payments loans, and even with your credit card, you can use your credit card and take out a payday loan, and you pay it in 3 times and you don't pay interest. You follow what I'm saying? So there are different ways in which we are going to. I'm not saying that this is what is going to happen now. When the customers call CEM or call a customer care agent, the persons will tell them exactly what kind of arrangements are in place, and we're trying to make sure that it is not only lucrative for the customers, but it is also going to be beneficial in terms of restoring normalcy, and so that we can get to reconcile the accounts. Because you do have some persons who understand and knew that, and some persons didn't know because they said they saw 1 or 2 reversals, they didn't check, they don't do recon on a regular basis, and it again speaks to just some other work that we will have to do to ensure that our customers are not just only made aware, and that we continue to educate our customers so that they can enjoy the right kind of banking experience.
I just have 2 more questions for you quickly. There are a lot of people yesterday that were also sharing that they have supposedly noticed this months ago. You've made mention that someone had reported this weeks ago, but I've heard people in the space last night, and I've seen a couple of tweets
and
that
the
these
person
things were months
reported
ago.
weeks ago for months ago. It's the reason
Yeah.
why we use the May to June,
Okay.
May to October period.
And then the final question now, right? Right now, obviously, Jamaica, this 8,000 affected or impacted accounts. What is NCBJ going to have in place to rebuild the client trust, especially those who were significantly affected by the transaction discrepancies?
So one of the things that we're actually doing now is the first email that went out was a general one to all Visa card holders,
Yes.
Visa debit card holders. The other one that is going to go out will be more specific to the individual customers themselves, itemizing the details of the transactions, the impact, and we'll be having some specific conversations directly with those customers. And these will be based on the typeset of the transactions that we would have identified. So we are making an effort to have those conversations with our customers, and then we'll also try to make sure that we appeal to just an understanding as well as a knowledge of the fact that this is not something that we would have ever wished to have happened, and it's something that we too regret would have happened. And because it has happened now and we are where we are, the first quarter line of defense is that we want to restore order and we want to make sure that we make it right by you.
Yes.
And to remedy all of this, we have to also fulfill our transactional obligations on both sides. So we will be having these conversations with our customers. We understand it's a very emotional one. We understand too the challenges, and it's the reason why we're putting a consideration in place to say that you do have this option to exercise and be supported by way of a payment plan.
Nice. And I know I did say two more questions, but I'm just scrolling to my phone and I had
You do
this
that
one.
very often. That's why you're running into late time in our career.
And I have this
You
one
think everybody's
bookmarked.
nice or like you?
Listen up, right? I trust and believe in one. Oh my God. But this person in particular, though, I remember seeing this tweet last night. This person says, and I've seen a couple of these as well. She says that this, and she has the screenshot of all the transactions. It's $100 and plus 2,319 Jamaican dollars. And then she says, how exactly did you guys come up with $76,291.20? She has the screenshot of that. She has the screenshot of all the rides. What about persons like those? How is that going to be remedied?
So I'm not sure where she got the screenshot, but one of the things that I've also heard persons speaking about is the fact that they're only seeing the last 5 transactions when they use the app. Maybe if you use a laptop and you go on, you can get a longer history in terms of how the transactions have been placed or processed on your account. Now, one of the things I can say is that if you use the app, you're only going to get the last 5 transactions coming up because it's a palm-sized, bite-sized feature that you're using, and by all indication, the size of the face of the phone is what is going to accommodate the transactions. You can literally get more information as it relates to the last 20, the last 30, the last 50 transactions if you were to go down. And I would just ask her to call our customer care, because one of the things that we do when we did the poll is that the poll would also indicate the total amount that is supposed to be paid to Uber. And once we have that, we literally can give you all of those transactions that would amount to the sums. So I'm not sure if it's the case that it's the first 20 transactions that she's seeing and other things are in between, because I did not see it, but I'm just using what usually obtained by virtue of how the transaction flows are listed on either a screen or when you're literally pulling up your account to do your reconciliation. But I would ask her kindly to just call our customer care and or send a WhatsApp, because the WhatsApp actually works as well, or use the app and speak through the AI bot, and we can literally attend to that, or send an email with that snapshot to cem@jncb.com. We'll do the investigations. We'll call and have the conversations with her. We're literally willing and ready and able to talk through with every single customer on the issue and just to work it through through to the end.
Well, thank you so much, Belinda. And I'll see you again on the show outside of this capacity. Yeah.
Yes, you will.
Thank
We
you.
always run into each other.
Right, I'm telling you. All right, but thank you so much, and have yourself a fantastic night. All right.
You too. Thanks
right.
a lot, Kareem, and good night to everyone. And try and have a good night. And remember, just call message cem@jncb.com or call our customer care center 1-888-436-6677.
Well, there you have it, guys. Well, thank you. That's Belinda Williams, head of NCB's corporate affairs. We're going to take a break. We're over on the break, and then we're going to come back. We do have some more callers. We have an Uber driver actually who we'll be speaking to right after this. Since they were unaware, some persons they're saying that they've never used Uber before. So those are, the minute set, right? But then you have the one them where they didn't know, and this is exactly what I spoke about last week. And I wish that sometimes when I speak about these things, when I just listen.
Yeah.
Because I just a company reader, because I love for chat. Like, we literally spoke about social media footprints last week on this here same show. And I literally gave you guys a list of things that you should not do, you should not post, you should not say. I've given my personal accounts. I've spoken about things that I have done in the past and how it has haunted me in the future. And when I go up on the internet yesterday, and I've been saying it, there's no way that you're on the internet with your face, with your real name, and you're confessing to fraud. Now, how is it that you're going to now go inside of these banks and say to them, oh, I wasn't aware, when you're on a space for hours confessing to fraud? And lo and behold, what did Belinda Williams, the head of corporate affairs, said? She was also in those spaces last night listening. I feel like only does I say things sometimes because of likes and for giggles. Because what are you going to do now? Because you can't say nobody no. And then sometimes the good officer for the bad, and I hate that so much because now the persons who are genuinely unaware, like Andre who spoke earlier, and a lot of the social media users that I have seen, people were just like, wow, me really nobody know, and it could happen to me. So you could really just not know, right? But we have some clips also. I'm gonna see respond him something I did. So, is it a bonus or a major mistake? Initially, this occurrence may have been thought to be a bonus for Uber users. I mean, who doesn't want a free ride? Not me, because my life not free. I was telling you this too. Well, there's a saying that nothing in life is truly ever free, and the bank has gone into recovery mode after Uber flagged its payment method and reclaimed its monies. So naturally, the financial institution followed suit and turned to its customers who allegedly utilized this glitch. Now, here are some reactions, by the way, to the Uber NCB glitch and the reversals. We do have some clips. Here we go. Okay, well, in the meantime, while we pull up those, let me just read some of the tweets and some of the comments on YouTube, especially. Baby Toy says, call customer service and AIU chat to our people who not even in the country, and even if you get someone, them can't help you. Baby Toy, for the persons who were listening earlier, I'm going to try it at the end of the show to give all the contact details that Belinda gave earlier. It's an email, it's the customer service numbers, it's a WhatsApp number, there's an email option, there's the AI bot option as well. Majestic Gabby says users can go online and log in via the Uber website and go to the ride history as well for each month. So here are some of the clips from the users on TikTok.
NCB, the National Commercial Bank. Come here. Tell me, what Jamaican people do? Why do you hate hardworking Jamaican people so much? We give them money every month. Why do you hate them? What do you do? Tell me. Imagine as a Jamaican living in Kingston, you use Uber for transportation, right? And the charges that are supposed to be coming from your NCB account to go to Uber were not being debited correctly. Now, from my understanding, you can correct me in the comment section if I'm wrong. Money was being paid over to Uber, but the transactions were being reversed back to the customer's accounts. So the little $600, $900, and $1,000 ride them, they kept getting reversed. So for those who weren't checking, there was a glitch going on all this time, probably for the past year. And today, October 29th, 2024, NCB said, "Mo want my money." No, run it. and started mass deductions on everybody's account who was using their NCB card to take Uber rides. Now, when I have people with $50,000, $100,000, $300,000 worth of lien, LIEN, yes, money with them owe NCB, that people are walking around with now because they never realized that the charges were being reversed back to their account. And NCB, so we're going to fix the glitch in a one night. Everybody give back money. Like, when you can't serious, when you can't be telling us if me was a victim, when you have to drag my body from headquarters. My mother would have shame on me. When you have to pry my finger them off of the door angle. NCB, me can't find no word for describe or no phrase for describe or no, other than on a sick stomach. On a sick stomach. People, check your accounts regularly. Pay attention because some of these financial institutions do not have your best interest at heart. And if you want your money to work for you, it's best not to put it in their pockets. I thank you. Bye.
He decides, say, well, me not pay the bill, yeah. So me say, alright, me not pay the bill there. Anyway.
So the Uber Jamaica app is the app where you're supposed to rename and call it last licking on your phone, because this is the funniest thing we see that minute. Over the past couple months, people are telling me, say, yo, travel with Uber. When I really take Uber, I drive. Yo, if you drive with Uber, you don't have to pay no fare. Worse if you have an NCB card, because the money I send back to your account. And me I said to people, say, yo, it have to get charged somewhere, somehow. They must say, no man, it's good. Yeah. I have a friend tell me since night, so she take couple trip, well go Portmore. So nobody no call after her for no Christmas present right now. The people are bossing them account under siege. Every minute them check them account. 6 bills gone, 7 bills gone, $1,000 gone. Uber just a slap them left, right and center. You know a youth will tell me what they say, yo, you don't know me, I have a little program I run for Uber, and so if you want Uber for use, you can get it. Yo! On the report, Uber driver didn't want to know.
Or we can be honest, people. It's situations like those makes it worse for everyone, because they must say, if no people will do it. Again, there are screenshots on the internet where this girl was speaking to her friend, and like she was saying to her, are you seeing these transaction reversals from Uber? And the friend I said, yeah girl, long time. And she said, you know, say, we have to pay this back. This is like a conversation from October 13 or 16, something like that. And she said, you know, we have to pay it back though. And the friend said to her, girl, no sir, because I've been doing this now for months. Once again, confessing to frauds. Boy, we're calling on the line. Hi, good night. Thanks for calling Boy Things After Dark. Who am I speaking to?
Hello, good night. It's Friday.
Oh, Friday, what going?
I'm alright, you know.
Were you one of those unlucky customers who were impacted by this fiasco, debacle?
No, you know. Fortunately for me, I mean, I've used Uber quite a few times. Yes. I've used it from a sports bank of Nova Scotia. So based on even see what has been happening to, you know, friends, strangers and all of that, I mean, I felt it for the ones who, you know, were completely oblivious to what was going on.
Yes.
And I mean, just to kind of share how my day went a little bit, I mean, I passed through downtown to collect a document. So I stopped by this downtown branch. And lo and behold, I mean, the pandemonium down there, you could literally feel the tense. You could see the disparity even in the people's faces, like the distraught. Like, I mean, it was almost like total chaos.
Was it full?
Well, I mean, the place basically rammed.
And what time was that?
This was shortly after the open, which was 8:30.
Jeez.
Yeah. So, I mean, outside, like, usually, like, on a weekday basis, when I even pass on it, because my mother works downtown, usually when I pass, we usually have a line there, which I would say would have about close to, I'd say 15 to probably like 20 people at any point in time. But this particular morning, man, it was way longer than that. You'd have believed, so, okay, then probably the bank I gave away freeness or something.
Jesus.
But like I said, I was pretty much quickly in and out, but for the duration of time when I was there, like, you could literally see the dishearteningness on most of the person's faces, and quite frankly, it was a mixture of both men and women. It's not like, say, you had more women than men or vice versa. It was a complete mixture.
Yeah, because, you know, even there was this young lady on the space last night, and she had expressed that she has children and she have her rent money in her account and money for send them guys to school or whatever the case may be and to pay bills. And obviously now there's a lien on her account, and she says that she was genuinely oblivious to what was happening. She wasn't a part of the set of people who were in fact indeed aware. So situations like those, I cannot think about it like can you imagine you have your bills them for go pay and you were genuinely unaware of this? I can't imagine the thought that were going through your mind.
Have, like I just mentioned, the rent, the car payment. You probably have other bills that you literally budgeted for that. Okay, and after this pay cycle, I can knock off this and not to think about it and to feel like a negative balance in your account. I mean, your heart will literally drop. Even though I was even on the space last night, I was thinking to myself that even if I was one of those persons who were affected, no matter how small, whether the 45K, the 300K, or the 700K, I would literally faint, and I've never fainted in my life. Because naturally, me, I'm a strong person, my heart is necessarily weak. But seeing those figures, I would have killed over.
Floyd, if I like me, I'm not ask if you never see me to the on the radio. That's the truth. Because flatline, me a flatline, don't have mad me there. That's the truth, man, I ask you. You understand? There's nothing when nobody could have tell me make me come and work, because can you imagine me asked where my money is gone, plus on top of that there's a lien per my account, forget it from me, not have it.
Right, exactly.
It. Wow, but very unfortunate. But thank you so much for just sharing your experience, Floyd. Big up yourself as per usual, yeah?
Yeah, man, no problem.
Yeah,
Alright.
Jesus. Alright, so we do have a next video to be played. For once again, people just posting these things on social media because, yeah.
One of my dog them usually tip the Uber driver them $5,000 and him usually ask them back for 4, so them would make $1,000 and him would make $4,000 because NCB normally send back the money. Them just return back the money, and we never know when the dog would rinse and repeat that. Free money. Free. Why tell me if I do it all them something. Free money.
What did he say, Gio? That him friend was doing what? Tipping the Uber drivers like a $5,000, and then would ask him back for a $4,000 change.
1,000 change.
1,000 change. So he might make money because he might get back the $5,000. Obviously, it's going to be reversed, and then he might get money from the Uber drivers as well. Also, I saw this conversation too where somebody said that she hears this person, and this is all allegedly, by the way. This person has Jerome, right? 2 accounts. So them have a NCB and them have a different bank account, and them have 2 phones, whatever the case is. I don't know. They've registered one of the accounts, because these things been happening for months, by the way. Based on obviously the statement as far back as May. And what they would do now is to use one of the account them for register as an Uber driver, and then to use one of the accounts as a customer.
Yeah.
So they're booking, right? So allegedly they've booked the Uber. So they make money from being an Uber, quote unquote, Uber driver.
Yeah.
And then as a customer, they're getting a refund. And I'm just like, if we put some of these things that we are doing into our own craft, we would be a first world country, because we also want to think. I wonder how to think about them something so fast.
So fast.
But we do have a next caller on the line. Hi, good night. Is this Rue?
Yeah, this is
Good night. You're a little bit low. I'm not quite sure. Are you hearing me clearly?
Yeah, I'm hearing you.
All right, nice. Yeah, man. Wow, you are one of the persons, a part of the 8,000 accounts that have been impacted by this Uber NCB fiasco. What exactly happened?
So basically, I was not aware of the glitch that was happening, because typically when I take a trip, I get about 3 emails at a time, and I take probably 2 trips a day, depending on how busy my week is. So I'm typically not running through the emails like that. And I had been aware of other people experiencing it, but whenever I do check my account, I see that my card is being charged properly. So these things that I'm being randomly charged for, I completely was not aware of them. So yeah, I just woke up one day and yesterday, and I saw the amount coming onto the account. So generally I'm confused because I don't know and I'm not keeping track of that aspect of things in terms of, going back through the emails. Because once I see a confirmation email and I see the amount leaving my account, I'm not going to double check something like that. My Uber to work is like $350. I'm not going to double check for $350.
Right.
So, yeah.
So, how much is the total that was withdrawn from your account?
For me, it was 44,000.
Jeez.
And I could not even, because there were so many transactions, and they limit the amount of transactions that you can't see. So even when I have a busy day and I will go back through the app after the end of the day, I'm still not really going to see stuff being added to my account because it's very limited. So even when all of this was coming out, I still can't see all of them. I had to call them to ask them the amount because I cannot see all of the transactions.
So have you, okay. So are you saying that even if it is that you've checked your bank statements, is it showing that these funds were reversed any at all?
If they were reversed any at all?
Yes, like out of
yes,
the 44,000.
What happens with Uber, when you use Uber, every single trip is usually reversed because I think they do a check. So they will charge your card and I'll see that and then it's reversed and then I see charged again. So usually when you see the reversals, it's not alarming to you because every trip has a reversal. The problem is we're not checking for 2 reversals. So if it's reversed more than once, we're not going to double checking stuff, and I'm not going to notice that I have an extra $350 on a day or I have an extra $600 in my account on a particular day. I'm not going to notice that.
It basically sounds like the issue that our caller earlier, Andre, spoke about, that when he would use the Visa Debit to book the Uber trip, what you're now doing is corroborating exactly what he said in terms of you book the trip, there is a reversal, and then after the trip, the transaction would go through. So even if it is that you're getting the notifications that it was reversed, you're thinking that it's the first reversal, basically.
Yeah, precisely. And I've been using Uber for years, so I'm not going to think that there's something unusual going on.
Have you contacted them since this 44,000 was taken from your account yesterday?
I have not contacted them outside of finding out the amount because I couldn't see the amount. But I really don't have anything to say to NCB about this because I don't understand how them even allow this to be going on for so long. So.
Wow. Well, thank you so much for sharing this. I'm going to see if we can, speak to a representative, Belinda or somebody, for this situation is very unique. So I'm going to see, if anything can come out of this any at all. But, thank you so much for sharing. I'm sorry for you this, man, because 48,000 at this economy is, yeah.
Right, I don't expect that to come out of your account. Yes. That's crazy.
Wow. But we'll go and take it easy, you understand? But thanks for sharing, yeah?
Yeah, man.
Things, and this is the final half of the show, and we're talking about this Uber fiasco. I see Belinda Williams here on YouTube. So once again, guys, if you're listening on any of the other platforms, on the 90FM band, on the website, on the app, I do thank you. Belinda Williams says transactions you can see are not limited. You can view up to 50 transactions or more, 5 at a time based on the screen allowance. And she did actually say that also in the interview. So for the persons who are complaining that it's kind of limited, just go in the app and that try to select the option to see more transactions. This person, she actually wanted to call in, but she says she just sent me some messages, so I'm going to read. She says, I started using Uber as my main transportation services roughly around July, due to it being reliable and safer than the other app. I won't call their name. Okay, please, because they're not going to sue me. You understand? She says, I always paid cash with whatever taxi service I use, so using it for Uber was like impulse. The first time I tried to use my card, the app wasn't taking my card because I always paid cash, so it didn't bother me. Second time I tried was due to the driver saying he doesn't take cash, which that is true as well. So I should switch payment to the card. I did that and the card worked. I checked my account after the ride to make sure the driver got paid, and I saw where the money was deducted, then refunded shortly after. I figured something was wrong with the app or with NCB, but knowing NCB, they'll take the money back. Only use my card on the app maybe 5 times, and that was mostly due to me forgetting to change the payment method after a previous trip. I didn't abuse the system. Sometimes I even forgot that the money would be refunded. Once I get out the vehicle, I don't even remember about Uber until I go to book another trip. Last night I checked my account and saw the deductions, and I checked my Uber activity and cross-referenced the dates for deductions shown on the statement in my account alongside the receipt for said days. Turns out that they took money for days I didn't use Uber at all, as well as days I paid with cash. I have no issue with them taking back their money, but my issue is them taking more than they should. They know that most people would refute the charges, as they say people were performing fraudulent activities, and that can be a whole nother ball game. But people possibly won't have a chance at winning. A total of 5 transactions are shown in the account statement so far. One was for a ride I didn't take, another was for a ride I paid for using cash. They are small amounts, but the principle behind it is that those deductions shouldn't have been made from my account. To anyone listening right now, once again, you can contact them, the customer care center at cem@jncb.com, or you can call 888-622-3477. Belinda also said that they have more staff on deck, right, in this particular period to circumvent all of these and to alleviate the wait time and a bag of things. So once again, guys, I'm imploring you, but this one is a special one because she's saying that she paid some of these by cash. So she don't really understand why these fees are deducted, and she's saying, okay, fine, take the monies for the ones that were reversed, fine, but you're now charging me for times that I didn't even take Uber on that particular day, or I paid by cash. So this is a peculiar one that she would definitely have to make contact with NCB to try and figure that one out. We do have a next caller on the line. Javante, good afternoon. Well, good night. Jeez.
Good night.
YMG, are you one of the customers affected by this debacle?
Yeah, I mean, yeah. But yeah, I'm pretty. I'm good. I'm not.
How much money?
Not really. But pardon?
How much were taken from your account?
Honestly, I haven't really been paying attention to all that. I know that they sent an email to everybody to say XYZ, isn't me?
Mm-hmm.
But I had removed my card last week or something like that. Honest to God, I haven't checked. Isn't me? I'm a bit afraid to check. But whenever I do check, I'll be sure to let you know. But I haven't checked.
Okay, so were you one of the persons who were aware that these refunds were being done?
No, I'm telling you, the thing is, definitely, specifically, isn't me? I was aware, but it's a case where I knew that eventually, whatever the take back the money, of course. So I wasn't surprised. But at the same time, it's like, a lot of people, would have expressed, their dissatisfaction situation handled. And some people definitely, come to refer to the bank and to really exploit the situation, But for instance, like for a few of us who probably have like one bank account or whatever, you're doing it, and I mean, most people would have indicated that they would have reported this to the institution. I would have reported it as well, before, but when I saw everything is going to cool and whatever, so yeah. But to be fair, most of the time, though, like for me, I don't really travel that much. I walk to work and stuff, and my homebody, so I don't really go out. So the few time, that's usually the case.
So you basically had realized that these charges were refunded to your account, and you said that you reported it to the bank. Do you remember, when was this?
I don't know before.
When was this exactly?
I'll be like, in around, I started using around, May region.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So you would have been, one of the persons whom, you're saying to yourself, obviously they're going to take back their money some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But, your issue is just that this was already reported and nothing was being done.
Yeah, because the thing is, so for instance, people would have expressed like, hey, if you use a card and the card reverse, and why not use another card or whatever, but that's just the card you have to spend from, that's what going to use to spend from or whatever, and plus, it's not necessarily your fault, that there's a glitch going on or whatever the case is, and you definitely hope that, the transition would have been working in that situation from before, but, over time, that's not the case, I mean, lots of people just say, hey, whatever, let's keep it moving, to be fair, I didn't even think about it, I kind of knew that they would come eventually, so I'm not really, upset or surprised.
Well, thanks be to Father God that you're not one of the persons whom, it's this exorbitant amount of money and then bam.
Oh, yeah, that's crazy. Because even
imagine?
sometimes when I used to take Uber and stuff, sometimes the drivers would they would ask, if they'd ask me stuff like if I wanted to somebody them give me cash.
Oh.
Give me cash and some drivers use sometimes a few or a handful of ask people like that,
Oh.
They want you to give them cash and they'll just say XYZ and then the money gets sent back to their accounts and stuff like that. I'm not something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
There's a lot of other complications to me that, but I mean that's a livelihood for a lot of people, the people me that I never really sit on and make that shit. I kind of just, whatever. Some days I pay cash, some days I pay with the card.
Yeah.
And sometimes they do charge though. So for instance, you have many occasions that they do charge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So I don't think so.
All right, thanks so much for sharing though. Appreciate it always. Yeah. And have yourself a good night.
Yeah, man, no problem.
Alrighty. Jerome, did you hear that? Said that allegedly some of the drivers, because they are aware of this glitch, were asking the customers to pay cash and they would use their card to pay for the trip because they know that this will be then reversed. So they might make double money.
Hey.
You never smoke it out for Anyways, here is a list of lessons learned for consumers who use Uber or any digital payment methods. These tips can help you stay savvy, protect your finances, and also be prepared for any potential issues. As we discussed today on the E-Zone, and we asked, how often do you check your account? I said, to be honest with you, this could happen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Because I really check my account. I won't say how often, because I'm not come scam me and something I can't have it.
Yeah.
But a situation like this would have happened because those transactions I wouldn't really be checking for those.
No.
It's like for like big payments, deductions and or transfers being done by myself or to me, right? Anyways, number one, monitor your transactions regularly. Keep a close eye on your bank or card statements after each Uber ride or online purchase. Spotting any unexpected charges or refunds early can save you from bigger headaches down the road like one we're not going through right now. Number two, set up payment notifications. Many banks offer alerts for transactions. Set these up so you're instantly notified when there's any activity on your card. This helps you stay on top of any suspicious charges or refunds. By the way, guys, if you want to call in, you can call in right now to give your take on this topic, any opinions, any views, anything at all. Okay, so the 630 numbers aren't working. Okay, so it's only the 876-618-8255 numbers currently working. The other phone lines are down. So we must apologize for that. So once again, only 876-618-8255. That's the only number working at this time. Number three on the lessons learned, understand your consumer rights. Know the basic consumer protection laws in your country, especially those related to refunds and chargebacks. Being aware of your rights can help you take action when things go wrong. Number four, use trusted payment methods. If possible, link Uber or any other digital services to credit cards rather than your debit cards. Credit cards often have better fraud protection and can make it easier to resolve payment disputes. Number five, Research company policies. Make sure you're familiar with Uber's refund, cancellation, and payment policies. Knowing what the company promises in case of a glitch will help you hold them accountable if needed. Number 6, act quickly when issues arise. If you notice a payment issue, don't wait. Contact Uber and your bank right away. Delays can complicate things and might make it harder to get a resolution. Number 7, have backup payment methods. Sometimes a particular bank or card might face issues with certain services. Having an alternate payment option linked to your Uber account can help prevent disruptions. Number 8, be cautious with saved payment info. So while saving your card details on digital platforms is obviously convenient, it can pose a security risk. You understand? Number 9, stay updated on digital trends and scams. Fraudsters are always finding new ways to exploit online payment systems. Stay informed about current scams and fraud tactics so you can recognize and avoid those same tactics. Number 10, contact customer service for clarity. If you're unsure why a transaction happened or a refund was issued, reach out to Uber's customer support. Clear communication can help you understand the issue and avoid any future surprises. Well, we do have a call on the line. Kay, good night. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm good. You? How about you?
I am great. Thanks be to Father God. What is your take on this situation?
Well, this sticky on the people in the day, I'm not lying.
It is.
Because some tweets and some videos that I've been seeing today is very puzzling to me because I don't understand what is the obsession with coming from social media and just saying everything anything.
Likes and views.
Because here's my thing. I understand that certain things happen. If the bank, it's kind of a double-edged sword because I feel like people supposed to check their account. Like me, I don't have them kind of money there to see money come out of my account and just feel like, you know what, it's okay. Like I feel like people say check them account. But to the people who willingly put themselves in a position for just take the service with them and never expect them to pay it back. And then come on the internet and complain and I say, oh, them now go pay it back. Like, them not realize it. Then at some point, them have to go pay it back because credit is a thing. Them are go either garnish your wage, something up my have to go pay it back. My thing is, why NCB have it bad? For the people them who genuinely did not know about it, I think them supposed to pay them back. Because if they weren't aware, you cannot penalize them for something that they weren't aware of. So the people that will take the people,
how are you going to even know who genuinely?
Pay back every cent.
My question though, Kay, and I asked this today on the E-Zone, right? Like, what? How would you even know who genuinely weren't aware? And I was speaking to someone who, I was speaking to someone who is aware of what's really happening, and I was, speaking to the person who, wished not to obviously speak about this publicly, and I asked the person, so how do you guys even know then? Like, what would determine whether or not this person was aware? And I kind of suggested, and I kind of said, well, how would you really know is by, obviously, there's not an influx of Uber rides. So you would then have to comb through their transactions. This is my recommendation to NCB, by the way. So if I am saying that I wasn't aware, if you look, say, in April, I only take Uber 3 times, you're looking at May, I only take Uber 3 times, right? The consistency with the number of rides requested by the app and paid for by using this card, you would see that this person is absolutely unaware of what's taking place.
Right.
When you see an influx of and bear in mind, this can go for everybody, but as I say, when you really see an influx, like me take Uber say 3 times for the month and day starts in next month, when the quote unquote glitch started to happen, you realize don't say 100 ride me go. Bear in mind, it could be just that I'm just requesting the app because I am just doing more things on the road, but it could also mean that, because I was aware and I was taking advantage of this glitch.
Right. I think one of the things that even Belinda said earlier is the fact that when they're doing their investigation, they're looking at the volume of rides that were taken by the customers, which I think that's a good way to go about it. But what about somebody who may be starting a business or may just start go like a job and they have to travel multiple times? You understand what I mean? So, like, for instance, if you're a home care nurse and you have to go from home to home, you're doing multiple rides per day, but you're not aware. My thing is, me personally, I check my account daily, and for reasons because I've dealt with being double charged, triple charged by Uber before. I don't really use Uber like that because they are known to do that. And that's what I'm saying. We tell it, we charge for one ride to go somewhere, and when you take a stop, them I charge you for two rides. And it's like, why are you doing this? For whatever reason, I've always got my money back. But you have to check your account. I understand the people busy. If you know, say you don't have a certain amount of money in your account, when you spend, you have to watch your spending. You can't just pick up yourself and your ride go northwest, east and south just because what? You have to check. You know, like we've been saying, I understand that some people never do it the way they. But you still have to be vigilant because even when you go to the store sometimes, you buy something and you might think it only charge you once, and then when you reach home and you check your bill, you realize it charge you twice for something.
Twice, yes.
You have to check.
Good point. Very, very good point. But Kay,
you have to check.
I'm going to try and squeeze in this one call. Hopefully Emma can host a space so we can continue this discussion after. But thank you always for calling. Yeah, so big up yourself. All right, we have a next call on the line. Anthony, good night, boss. How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm just calling, I'm giving my story because I've been with Uber for a really long time. You get me? However, I started to notice this transaction happening from last year, where the money was kept on reversing.
Last year?
NCB has my only place of doing transactions. Because when it comes to Uber, I use Gosha as well. But with NCB, I normally call them and say, hey, I realize that this transaction is being reversed. And they say, really, I will tell them, and they say, no, they've seen it. They file a report, and then by a day or two, the money is taken. I started to realize that it kept going and going and going. And I said, this is seriously an issue. So no matter how, when I noticed it, I'm like, why is this constantly happening? So each time when I use it, it kept reversing. Even when they do say that they file a report. The first time I noticed this, it happened to my sister's account. And when we went in there, they're saying that, you guys owe this and you have to pay it. As I said to them, I have no problem paying what I am aware of what was being reversed. It's early on since night, when I went through my bank statement, I realized that they're not only charging me for the rides that were reversed, they're also charging me for the rides that never came. For example, when the app is searching for a driver and no one came, Uber sends back that money, they're adding that transaction too as well.
Wow. Anthony, I wish that you had called earlier because I would have loved to ask Belinda this one, because this situation is an oddity, obviously, right? Because you're saying you've noticed this from last year, you've made contact with the bank, but then you've realized that after that, the monies were taken. So after it was reversed, it was then deducted from your account. So you're thinking that everything was good, yes? And no, what you're saying is no, for a long time, this has been continuing. But then what you're realizing now is even for the rides that were cancelled, because that happened. So the persons who don't take Uber don't understand. A driver could possibly be taking long. There could be traffic on the road. Him could have changed his mind. Him could have decided to say, now, but I'll pick you up again. So you're saying that those rides that were cancelled, and obviously the monies would have been reversed because anybody utilized the service, they're also charging you for those?
That's correct. Because even when I brought my sister to the bank, they gave my sister a printout. And when I looked at the printout, and I turned to her and I said, yo, sis, look at the transaction. You realize that the same transaction is deducted, then you see it reversed. And when, you try again after you can't get any driver, so you try again. You realize that is doing, and I'm looking at the date, I'm like, you can't take Uber rides in one day. Like, the transactions are the same. Some of my friends are affected, and I reached out to them and I said, you look at your transactions and look at the date. You actually, and when you go on the Uber receipt, you actually see that the cancel rides are what is actually there. Those are the rides that they're actually accumulating along with what was already reversed.
So have you then presented NCB with because obviously in the Uber history it would then show that the rides were cancelled. Have you spoken to anyone from NCB since then?
Actually, no, I plan on going into the branch, into my branch on Monday with the Uber receipt along with what I found out, because I was calculating my transaction to say there's no way I can owe $203,000 worth.
203 what?
There's no way.
So your account has a lien right now on it?
Yes.
Boy, Anthony, I'm running out of time. I'm going to ask you to just do when you go to the bank on Monday and you've presented them with the proof of the cancelled rides and that it matches the dates that they have now deducted these funds for these cancelled rides, can you just send me an update, please? Because what I'll do is after you've done that, I'll possibly try and reach out to Belinda on my own for this particular situation, because this, once again, like, boy, I mean, I like this at all. So may I beg you, do. So when you go Monday, if you can reach out to me on any of my social media platforms with what was made mention to you by the bank in itself, but just make sure, as Belinda says, just ensure that you have all of the details, yes? So when you have, as you've said, you've had the receipts, the cancellation history, all of that, just present it to them and just, give me an update. I'll personally take this issue myself to Belinda after, if it is that attempt wasn't successful, yeah?
No problem.
All right, boss, thank you so much. Jesus! What? Can you imagine? But these situations are going to happen, though. Once again, it's an automatic, system, right? So I'm assuming because they've seen reversal, them just deduct the money. But I think he definitely has a case. I'm going to end the show, guys. It is a lot. It is a lot. But I'm going to definitely check up on that one. I should have asked him to leave his contact details so I could have personally reach out to him. But Anthony, if you're listening, just please do my telephone on Monday, and if it's not a favorable response, just reach back out to me, please, on any social media platforms. Once again, guys, I must just thank my two producers before I even end the show, Javon and Lewin and Cody and Jackson, because them can tell you I called them last night frantically at 10 p.m. telling them that to cancel the entire show that we had planned from last week for today. Obviously the shows are planned in advance, right? And Jerome McCallum last night, when I see the act of clubs that happen on social media, and I tell them, listen, emergency group call, change, cancel everything. We need to get on the phone. You need to reach out to who we need to reach out to. This episode has to happen. And then pull through, and I'm not so them tired, I'm not them supposed to cuss with them head. But this is what happens in media. You understand me? Like, this is what happens in media. Gio over this says, I fall asleep right now. But these things do happen. Guys, thank you all for sharing. For the persons who called in, who shared their stories with me personally, as well. Thanks to everyone. Thanks to Belinda for even, taking the opportunity at last minute to give us some insight. Once again, if you've never heard and you are a part of this issue, they are offering you guys payment plans, so just contact them. The contact details are, let me just quickly find it, please, at cme@jncb.com, or you can call